All right, Shalom. First off, I'm going to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father's true name, Yahweh Shai being the name of His only begotten Son. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you walking throughout the four corners of the earth, continuing to push and do the works in truth and in sincerity. All right, this is the brother Mashama Yum, one of the men here with the GMS branch out here in the morning camp. Here with another quick lesson through the Spirit, and pretty much in this lesson, I'm going to be speaking about how these bodies are to be taken care of, okay? You know, these bodies, these meat suits that we're in right now that are being rented out, right? You know, metaphorically speaking, are to be taken care of, okay? You know, because when we come into this truth and we wake up into this truth coming out of the world, right? At first, you had a crazy diet. You were eating a lot of the things that, you know, the people in the world are still eating, right? A lot of this fast food, right? But once we come into this truth, you know, we're introduced into the different herbs, right? And, you know, we're taught how to, you know, apply, you know, the herbs, okay, for healing, right? You know, so just going into that, and so let's start off with the book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 15. And it reads, "Health and good state of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth." All right. You know, so plain and simple, okay? And this is what the scriptures is telling us. All right. It says health and good state of body are above all gold, okay? Because a proper, a healthy body, okay, a strong body is a healthy body is a healthy mind as well, okay? What you put into your body, the different foods that you put into your body, okay, it can have an effect on your mind as well, right? Because ultimately, you know, being your body is what holds your spirit. So if your body, okay, how you're treating it is poor, right? If you know, not taking care of it, then eventually it's gonna have an effect on your mind, okay, your mood, you know, and overall even your spirit, okay. And you can kind of see that too, you know, or not kind of, you can see it clearly, okay, and you know, with the people in the world. All right, you got these people that eat a lot of fast foods, okay, fat and obese and out of shape. A lot of the times, you know, if you ever been around some of them, sometimes they get moody real quick, all right, when they're hungry, okay, because that's their body is craving that unhealthy fast food, okay. But from there, let's jump down to verse 25, right? Because ultimately, too, to have as it says, health and good state of body, right? To have a healthy body, okay. What? Let's jump down to verse 25. It reads, "A cheerful and good heart will have a care of his meat and diet." Okay, and that's the key thing right there, right? It said, "A cheerful and good heart will have a care." Okay, so if you care at all, or you care for your body and your overall health, okay, then you're gonna have you're gonna take it into consideration, right? To incorporate, you know, healthier things, you know. And once again, that's, you know, as I mentioned earlier before the lesson, that's why once we come into this truth, right, we're introduced to, you know, different ways to take care of your body, the different herbs, okay, even different foods that the apostles mentioned, right? And a lot of these are things we learn from, you know, the elders and the apostles, okay. But once you hear those things, if you have a care, right, then you're gonna go and apply those things, okay. Because real quick, matter of fact, before we get this Sirach 38, let's get Sirach 18 real quick. This is Sirach chapter 18 and verse 19, and it reads, "Learn before thou speak, and use physic or ever thou be sick. Okay, and this is, once again, this is a part of having a care, all right, for your body, you know, using physic. And I mentioned it before in another lesson, but basically that word physic, right, it goes into using medicine or healing. Okay, and now jumping to Sirach, right? Sirach chapter 38 and verse 4, and it reads, "The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them." Okay, so once you're introduced to these different things, okay, if you're wise, you're going to go and apply them. Okay, it says, "He that is wise will not abhor them." All right, so this is all a part of being able to have health, okay, and good state of body. All right, from here, let's go to, and also too, another thing to take into consideration, right? Because of course we're still here, being here in Esau Edom's kingdom, and still eating a lot of this stuff. Really, a lot of this stuff is still defiled, But this is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 1, and it reads, "A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." Okay, but I'm bringing this out because also incorporating balance. All right, because once again, it might be different for different brothers. Okay, some brothers, you might still every once in a while want to get you a healthier burger, if I could say it that way, or you still want to eat some wings, you still want to eat some some of these dainty foods, right? If I could say that, but also too, just having a balance overall, not just overeating, and not considering that overeating all those foods, okay, could eventually have a bad effect on your body. Okay, that's why let's get Sirach chapter 37, right? This is Sirach chapter 37 and verse 30, and it reads, "For excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler." Okay, so this is another thing, taking that into consideration. Excess of meats, right, will bring it sickness. So also that's why I mentioned that precept, Proverbs 11 and 1, dealing with balance. All right, you can still eat those things, right? Of course, not McDonald's or Burger King, right? But as long as it's in a balance, and you're still applying and using the different herbs, and putting healthier alternatives in your body, okay, to balance out the those other foods, okay, that aren't too healthy, right? But from there, let's go to, let's get Sirach chapter 18, if we haven't already read it. We already read that. So let's get this account in the book of Daniel, right? Daniel chapter 1 and starting at verse 8. This is an account dealing with Daniel and I believe 3 others, but we'll just read it when we get into it. But basically, they matter of fact, let's just read it. This is Daniel chapter 8 and Daniel chapter 1 and starting at verse 8, and it reads, "But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now the Most High had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse, liking then the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. Right? Because Daniel, he didn't want to eat, the king's meat, right? He wanted something healthier, right? As we're going to read down, verse 11. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them get pulse to eat and water to drink. Okay, and real quick, so Daniel 1 and 12. Let's go into the blue letter to see what that word pulse is. The word pulse is the Hebrew word zara'in, and it's what? Vegetables. Okay, vegetables as food. All right. So you know in my mind, what comes to my mind is like green vegetables, okay, herbs, Verse 13. Then let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he consented to them in this matter and proved them 10 days. All right. So Daniel and Hananiah and Mishael were given what? Pulse to eat, right? Vegetables. And at the end of 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Okay. So once again, showing you, the what Daniel, okay, and his 3 brothers decided to eat, okay, was a way better choice, okay, being what? Vegetables, okay, than the king's meat. All right. It said their faces, okay, appeared fairer, okay, and fatter in flesh, So likening that onto, once again, the times that we're in, okay, you can liken that onto what? Eating more herbs, okay, instead of what? A lot of this fast food, okay, which will be a whole lot healthier and better, okay, herbs and fruits, right? Now, once again, like I said, all in balance, okay, because once again, it's different for different brothers, okay? Some brothers don't eat none of this fast food stuff at all, okay? Some brothers still, you still like to eat chicken and fries, okay? And many other different fast foods. So however you apply it, right, in your balance, that's between you and the Lord. But ultimately, just saying, giving this example, to apply, okay, and have a balance in your diet, okay? So, but that's the point. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, for putting the Spirit upon me to do this lesson. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you walking throughout the four corners of the earth, continuing to push and do the works in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.